Hey, Driven Autism Dads, it's Kyle Jetzel coming to you from my house today. I was going to do a video from my car, but it got too dark too quick. So what I want to talk about today is you may have heard of the story of the old mule in the dry well. And this is a pretty interesting story, and I've shared it before on different platforms. I think I've even written about it before. But I was kind of shocked at one point. I'll tell you the story and I'll kind of tell you what happened and why I was shocked. But so the story goes like this. There's an old farmer who has a really, really old mule. And the mule is pretty much good for nothing at this point. It's just old and crotchety. It really doesn't do much work. And he really knows that this mule's days are short. So he's just kind of keeping an eye on the mule. He knows that it's going to probably die any day. But he also has a dry well that he knows he needs to fill. And he knows it's dangerous. Somebody could fall in there. Anything could happen. But he keeps putting it off, as we do sometimes when things need to be done that we don't want to do. Well, anyway, he comes out one day and he can't find his mule, and he looks all over the property. The mule's completely gone. He doesn't know what's happened. And then he goes and he glances into the dry well, and sure enough, there's the mule at the very, very bottom of the dry well. The mule has fallen in. And, he looks down and it's way down there, and it's going to be a tremendous amount of work to get that mule out. And he knows the mule is not going to last for too much longer anyway. And so he decides, as much as he hates to do it, he decides he's just going to start filling the well and just bury the mule, because he knows the mule isn't going to live much longer anyway. So it doesn't make him very happy. He doesn't feel good about it, but he knows it has to be done. So he just starts shoveling dirt into the well and just starts shoveling, and he works for minutes and then hours. And, before you know it, the day's moving along and he's thinking, okay, I've put a lot of dirt in there. I'm going to glance in real quickly, and I'm guessing the mule is pretty much buried, and then maybe finish up another time. So he kind of walks over and he looks in, and he's surprised at what he sees. He sees the mule closer to the surface of the well. And so he's like, what the heck's going on here, right? And then he thinks, I think I know what's happening, but let me check, right? So he grabs another shovel full of dirt, and he watches as he tosses the dirt in, and it lands on the mule's back, and the mule simply shakes it off and then stomps it down, right? And it gets him closer to the surface. And then the guy realizes the mule is not ready to go. The mule has heart. It doesn't want to be buried. So he starts more shoveling in, and he's watching, and the mule's just stomping it down, and he works into the night. And, before you know it, he sees the mule's head, and then the mule gets closer to the surface. And, after a couple more scoops of dirt, the mule steps out of the well and goes on about his business, stronger than he ever was before. And, to me, that story was a pretty powerful story about how, we're all going to get things thrown on our shoulders. We're all going to have difficulties and problems. But if we're able to shake those off and stomp it down and just keep moving closer to the surface, it can make us stronger. And so I wrote I posted that story assuming that would be the lesson that was, gleaned from the mule and the dry well, and was shocked when I saw person after person get on there and have a completely different take on it. One guy, I remember specifically saying, people are going to try to bury you. And even people that are supposed to love you and take care of you are going to try to bury you. And then another guy came on there and said, they'll stab you in the back. And it was just, people had these dramatically different views of this circumstance than I did, of this story. To me, the story was a story of triumph over tragedy. It was a story of, letting difficulties make you stronger. That wasn't their view at all. And there were many, many, many of them. And it got me to thinking about how I view, and how a lot of us, hopefully, as Driven Autism Dads, view the world. Do we view it in a way that, I guess, serves us? Really, it's a simple way to say it, right? How do we view the world? Do we view it in a way that serves us, or that gives us pain and suffering, right? And, obviously, I believe I view the world. I mean, when things go wrong, I try to make them better. I try to work at them. Even the most difficult of circumstances, I'm going to try to figure out what I'm supposed to learn and how I'm supposed to grow. But I realize that some people are you working on different patterns, and those patterns don't serve them. So my message today is pretty simple, and it's going to be this: if you find things in your life that are not serving you, that you're looking at them with disdain or frustration or anger or bitterness, those things aren't serving you, and there's a good chance by simply reframing those things, you can grow and learn and escape some of that. And I'm just going to say it. If that's you, you've got a victim mentality. And that victim mentality isn't serving you very well. Not only is it not serving you well and making you frustrated and angry and bitter, there's a good chance that you're modeling that behavior and those attitudes for your kids. And that means when things don't go their way, they're going to view them as, they're going to feel like victims, and they're going to feel victimized, and they're going to view the world as a dark and dreary and uncomfortable and painful place. And a lot of that can be modeled by us. So I'm going to challenge you. If you see the world as half empty, the glass half empty, or, if you find yourself reading a story about the mule and the well, and you're saying, people will throw dirt on you that are supposed to love you, and people will stab you in the back instead of seeing it for what it is, which is a story of triumph, I would challenge you to check your perspective, and just start asking yourself this question. If events happen and the way I view them does not serve me and does not allow me to grow and excel and get better, then you are modeling something that you're not going to like when it comes back to you through your kids. So I'm just going to be harsh about it, and that's just how it's going to be. We model behavior for our kids, and if they're doing things and saying things and acting certain ways, there's a better than good chance that they may have gotten some of those examples from us. So I would challenge you to watch how you present yourself, how you present things, and frankly, most importantly, if whatever isn't serving you, reframe it. Just find a way to reframe it so that you can allow the things in your life to serve you, and you'll be happier. You won't feel like such a victim. You'll feel like a victor instead of a victim, and you'll be able to model those things for your kids. So that's my message for today. Have a great day. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.